Good morning, fellow Ambazonians. Happy Easter in arrears. Today, na Monday, Country Sunday, number 18 day for this month of April 2022. My name na Capo, the Deputy Defense Chief, the Anti-Kidnapping Czar, and attaché to the Cabinet of the Ambazonian Governing Council, aka Sense Pass King. Una welcome to our daily podcast, a program where we bring una critical information, fact-based analysis for help we navigate this journey for our independence and freedom. For this Easter day, we will bring una a special edition titled Easter Podcast. Easter, na the time we Christendom all over the world they celebrate a resurrection of Jesus Christ, the Messiah. For inside Ambazonia, na time we Catholic Church them and Presbyterian Church, and especially the Baptist Church where I grow from, they go up for hill for go look Jesus Christ, and they go come down singing with songs of victory of Jesus conquer Satan. Fellow Ambazonians, for this period of history, whole day in the middle of a genocide war, I could give una this daily podcast in the middle of an open air for a resort center as me too I celebrate my Passover. This Easter day is fall for the Jewish calendar for the time where the Israelite people them, the Hebrew people, they leave Egypt for free themselves from slavery into a promised land. Ambazonia then find themselves in the same journey, a journey to their promised land, the land of Ambazonia, a democratic society where they can rule themselves and live out their life and pursue happiness. This journey started with Fon Godidinka, where we invoke the restoration law after Cameroon is secede for the union where they be imposed upon Ambazonia. This one be followed the independence declared by Justice Adobwele for 1999, December 31. Seseko Ayoktabi also reiterate this same independence where we then decide for defend, for protect, and for liberate ourselves from Cameroon occupation and recolonization. The biggest Easter message for this 2022, it come from no other person but Reverend Mckee. Reverend Funky Samuel Fomba, na the moderator for the Presbyterian Church for inside Ambazonia and for the larger Cameroons. Reverend Mckee, it can be a subject for huge criticism for Ambazonians as it don't fail for live up to their standing. Recently, he participated for the Swiss Peace, a project where it be being meant for mislead the international community about which way the Ambazonian people them they really fight about. Reverend Mckee is sent the most powerful message from ground zero. We would now receive them with joy and happiness as a true representation of a word of God for the Ambazonian people. The message from Reverend Funky Samuel Fomba, it read as follows: Christ's resurrection has made us freed people. No matter the marginalization and injustice we have suffered each day, we are already freed people. Not even the killings and insecurities can stop our freedom. All we need is a change of mindset. We are freed indeed because Christ is risen. Signed, Reverend Funky Samuel Fomba. This message is a very powerful message. We touch the bottom of the heart of all Ambazonian, which we will stand for and which we will fight for. It describes we as a people, the same standing where the Ambazonian liberation it taken for execute our war. A people. Yes, we are a people. The people of the former British Southern Cameroon. It has been reiterated by the African courts in Banjul, where it still talks say even after 60 years of Cameroon rule, the people of the former British Southern Cameroon still see themselves as one people. We are a people. Just for say, make no man take them out of context, who the people, Reverend Mckee, he talk about, he talk say, no matter the marginalization and injustice, that one, it narrow them down for we, the people of the British Southern Cameroon, now Ambazonia. Reverend Mckee, he talk say, we are free, and we are freed indeed. He mirror the same message with Dr. Cho Lucas Ayaba, leader of our War of Liberation, he done this preach for over the years. Fellow Ambazonians, great citizens of Ambazonia, the message of peace during Easter no be an Ambazonian issue. Now a war issue as the people across the world, they use this day for celebrate and for call for peace. There is one famous and renowned international group called the German Easter Peace March. They march as them, they march for inside Germany, the land where we bring about the Second World War every year, call about a complete peace for the war, destruction of all arms of war, and the rejection of war as a means for solve problem. This year, in a historic manner, the German Easter Peace Marcher them, they done march and they send a powerful message by their director, Robert Habeck. Robert Habeck now is powerful inspiration for the international politics, and this time they break tradition during the Ukraine-Russia war for send a powerful message for peace for the war. Wanna listen?
The call for peace. And Robert Habeck was keen to stress that peace marches should focus against Russia and not Ukrainians' defense of their homeland. The Easter marches are meaningful and good if they call for peace, and the call for peace can only be directed against Putin. In this regard, we must be very careful that we don't call on Ukraine to stop fighting. Then I would say, if one did, then I would no longer be with them, with the Easter marches. If they say, Putin, you are an aggressor, stop the war, withdraw the troops and stop the killing and murdering, then the Easter marches have their purpose.
As we not hear, it talk for Easter marchers them when a group of strong Christians made of tough people right from the Vatican where they march. Robert Herbert, he talk say, for the peace marchers them, for being meaningful, the need for break tradition and call on Russia, we call them the aggressor, and Putin make it stop the war and withdraw the people them. He also talks the need for talk, me Ukraine then continue for fight for resist the Russian aggression. This one a break from tradition as the Easter peace marchers them. They don't always call for war, global disarmament, and call for peace by calling for all sides them for disarm. This one a powerful message for the international community, say in the face of war, the aggressor need to be called out by any genuine peace seeker. This also mirror the word way Pope John Paul II he be talk. Say any true peace lover, peace seeker must call for justice. You cannot call on the Ukrainians to stop fighting. So does you cannot call for the Ambazonians to stop fighting, because our war is an invocation of our right of self-defense. We are fighting to protect ourselves. We are fighting on a just side to liberate our home from a foreign aggressor. If a whole big religious-based organization like Easter Peace Marcher, they don't stand for call out an aggressor in its name and demand that Russia should stop the war and withdraw its army, what about the Ambazonian pastors, churches, organizations that claims to represent Christ? Wouldn't they call on Mr. Paul Biya to stop the war, to withdraw his terrorist forces from our streets and our villages, to withdraw its army back to its line of independence and its sovereign territory out of Ambazonia? Would they not recognize that Ambazonians pick up arms in self-defense and they are indeed heroes for fighting to liberate our homeland? Yes, there are problems here and there. This is due to the fact that the same people whom our population look up to stand up and speak and be wise, have stayed quiet and allow con men to rise within our ranks, people with selfish ambition to take over a liberation struggle and inject hate, pain, infighting, kidnapping for ransom. But this will never deny the fact Ambazonian cause is a just one, and every just religious person must call on Mr. Paul Biya to stop the war, withdraw its troops, and call on the Ambazonian people to fight to fight for justice, to fight for what is just, what is right, and what the people deserve. Even in the middle of a conflict, you cannot pretend to be neutral. Pope Francis have break the spell by staging a mass holding up a Ukrainian flag that comes from Bucha. We expect Ambazonians or any true priest or man of God to hold the Ambazonian flag and call for victims from the Garbo massacre, Pinying massacre, our children slaughtered, Mami Appiah, who have been killed, murdered by trained professional Cameroon military men who are indeed taking orders from their commander-in-chiefs and are being directed by their SDOs, DOs, and colonial governors. Hold the Ambazonian flag like the pastor in Maoto who was slaughtered for standing up and holding up an Ambazonian flag, declaring that it was God who told him to do so. Great people of Ambazonia, I will want to take exception to invoke a Bible verse from Proverbs chapter 31, verse 8 to 9. It says, "Speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves." Those are the words of the Bible. Our people of the British Southern Cameroon have been banned. Our nationalism have been declared and criminalized by the Cameroon state, calling for independence, separation, an act of state subvention, an act of terrorism. And the consortium, SCNC, and all Ambazonian political group have been banned and labeled as a terrorist organization, and our people themselves who believe in our independence labeled terrorism. This is an injustice that all pastors must speak up against if they are indeed representatives of Jesus Christ. Christians, or those who call themselves Christians, and the church are obligated to challenge oppression and power. There is no excuse for any pastor or any man of God to claim to collect offerings in the name of Jesus Christ and stay quiet. Christians have a moral obligation to speak the truth and live a life of integrity. A life of integrity includes courage to challenge the structures and powers, no matter who they are or the consequences. That will be living the life of Christ. To live with conviction in Christianity, love and righteous indignation must converge. Anyone who calls himself a man of God must, like the expression of Reverend Mckee, declares that we, the people of the Southern Cameroon, have been suffering from marginalization as a result of a recolonization of our territory, and they must speak for the people of the British Southern Cameroon who are in a battle fighting against genocide. As to what they may say, or to what is the truth in the midst of the confusion they may want to hide behind, there is no other way they can hide. Reverend, former, our strong man, our Iroko, who have failed us in many ways, but yet his word still echoes from the grave. I'm talking about Christian Cardinal Tumi. This is what he has to say to define what is going on. That nobody can pretend themselves to hide behind excuses of not knowing what is actually going on.
How are you marginalized?
And that has been interpreted as
all that will come on the table, and we'll see how to come out of it. You have to listen to the Anglophones. There's a problem. You know, in our questionnaire to Anglophones, we try to influence the Anglophone opinion, but we did not succeed. Therefore, it shows how deep the problem is.
So, when they hear, I will interject. Cardinal Tumi the talk say for their questionnaire where they make polling for find out where to go on, they even try for influence their Anglophone, so-called Anglophones, their opinion, but then fail. When I hear, continue.
When you say you tried to influence,
we tried to influence.
How?
Good question. When we said, what form of government do you think can solve this problem?
So Cardinal Tumi, they make a survey, then ask people and say, now which kind form of government will solve the problem we don't cause the war we will do for inside today.
Federation, for example, decentralization, as we are trying to live it now. I think just about 4 or 5 people reacted.
So, for this questionnaire, they asked over 1,000 people about federation, about decentralization. Out of the 1,000 so-called Anglophone, the way they asked them, now only 5 or 4 people them react. That means they were not even interested in this type of solution or way of thinking.
Out of 1,000, 69% of Anglophones said absolute, the word they used, many use was absolute separation.
That means for inside 1,000 people, the way they ask them for solve the problem, only 5 people them, they be even be interested for even hear about federation or decentralization. That means anything where they go on for that La Republic now, only around 5 people them inside 1,000 of Ambazonians them be interested. 69% according to Christian Cardinal Tumi, then one absolute separation. Something where it no be even they no be even write inside that questionnaire, it no be even day, but people then go out of their way for talk way to way they want them.
That is to say, cessation. What? Who was taken aback?
Secession was not on the questionnaire. You had federalism and decentralization.
Yes.
And they ignored the two.
But then we said, have you any other proposition to make? We left it open. Have you other proposition? But many said in the questionnaire, acting on outside the questionnaire, said we should have proposed also a referendum. They said no, a referendum is not a form of state.
So even when people acting out of the questionnaire them be asked them say therefore even ask a referendum, me people then go vote for see way to way they want them. The people them even reject a referendum about the form of the state.
Form of government.
And when you look at that reaction, what do you read within the lines? What would you conclude is the stand of?
We drew the conclusion. Because we have a document now, the causes, the propositions of those who reacted to our questionnaire, about 1,000 people. And then our own, what we think. For those who reacted.
So, Christian Cardinal Tumi then talks that there is a document now where people they know the problem, they know the proposed solutions for that problem, and his own opinion. May we continue.
To our questionnaire, 69% are convinced that if we want to love each other, that is to say, if the Anglophones and Francophones want to live as brothers and sisters, absolute separation.
So, when I here, 69% of the people they wait and go out of the way for answer them out of those 1,000 people. The damn talk say the only thing if you bring peace, na absolute separation. When I here, no pastor, nobody can pretend that he doesn't know what can bring peace. So anybody where they preach peace need to preach absolute separation as the only thing that can bring peace. Because on the one hand, Ambazonia they don't make up their mind say the one separation. On the other hand, Paul Biya and the state of Cameroon they don't declare separation as a terrorism. So the opinion of these people them for Ambazonia na a crime already for La Republique. So Paul Biara decides to go kill all man where he stand for Ambazonia, he stand for separation, and the amount of those people now almost the entire population of Ambazonia. Now why that way the governing council is stand say this war na a genocide. Paul Biara one kill all man where one independence and all man one independence. May we continue.
That is important.
And that is what sounds like a taboo.
Our position is that everything should be put on the table. There should be no taboo. That's our own position. But not that it is our own, not that we are saying that we should absolute separation, but we say whatever the opinion of some, let us listen to him. But
Cessation should be on the table of discussion.
Yes.
In the national dialogue.
Let them try to convince us. If they convince us, we should take it. If it's convincing. That is why I think personally.
Are you saying that if the people who are standing for secession convincingly present their point of view, President Paul Biya should accept to separate Cameroon?
Of course.
Is it feasible?
It's possible since it is human. It's not the law of God.
So, Cardinal Tumi, there he goes. It's not the law of God for one Cameroon. If it is possible, if it is convincing, let them accept. Any man of God who preaches the word of God, even as Cardinal Tumi talk, he personally stands for federation, but the people stands for independence and absolute separation. This should be the champion of anybody who is preaching peace in the name of God or behind the pulpit, like the Easter message. It comes from the Easter marchers from Germany. We need to call the aggressor by name and ask them to stop the war, withdraw their forces, and we need to encourage those who are fighting in self-defense to keep on fighting for justice to prevail. And for the church, the pastors, the men of God, who are supposed to speak for those who cannot speak, because for those who are under occupation, speaking the truth, speaking what they want is tantamount to death, as Paul Biya has made his intention by banning the consortium, banning the governing council, and chasing the leaders of the other movement across the border. They cannot speak for themselves. Christianity, as we know, is supposed to be, as Proverbs 31, again I will repeat, says, speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves. For Christians have a moral obligation to speak the truth and live a life of integrity. A life of integrity includes the courage to challenge structures of powers. No matter the consequences, they have to speak the truth. God bless you all and happy Easter. Capo Daniel, signing off.